1 month ago, I started working on a new tower defense game inside of the Unity game engine. At first, this started as a small side project, but naturally, as every indie game project goes, I got carried away with the ideas, possibilities, and the scope. So let me take you back to where it all started. At the start of 2023, I challenged myself to create a tower defense game in 12 hours. Now, fundamentally, the game was playable, but it lacked the most important thing, and that was a creator who truly cared about the project. But what it did have was support. I received hundreds of comments on that video telling me to make the game into a proper project. So, with the motivation to not let my viewer down, I set out to restart the project from scratch. Now, before I jumped into the project, the first thing I looked into was the art. Now, I'm something of a 90s kid myself, so naturally I wanted to sort of homage to my childhood, something nostalgic. And that came in the idea of a Game Boy style game, which to me laid heavily on the design and aesthetic of the game. So I decided on a 1-bit color palette, a primary color and a secondary color that would complement each other in such a way that I could have really effective and seemingly intricate designs with the limitations of just these two colors. Once I decided the colors, I whipped up some basic tiles in Isometric and got into programming the path generator. So, one thing that I always see in tower defense games is that the paths are always hand designed, which makes sense, but I wanted a random path that would be fun and interesting for every run through. So I designed an algorithm that would generate a tower defense style top-down path that had some twists and turns in it to make it interesting. But I felt like something was missing, so I kind of sat on the project for a few days, not really knowing where I wanted to take it. Then, like something out of a dream, I had the idea to make it into an isometric style game. Wasting no time at all, I was straight back into designing the existing tiles into an isometric style. Now, because of the way isometric tiles get generated, and because of the purpose of this project, I needed to utilize specific tiles. I limited myself to not using Unity's existing isometric tile map library, which meant that when I designed the tiles, they didn't generate correctly. So I had to find the offset values for each object that would allow them to generate correctly, as well as do the X values backwards, meaning I had to go through the code to find any time I used X and use it as the opposite. Now, the second I saw that path get generated in the isometric style, I knew that this was the direction that the project was going to take. From there, it was like a snowball effect. With the newfound vision, I was determined to bring this project to life. So, I worked day and night creating systems for enemies, players, and the economy. So let me fill you in. So I created a JSON file that would allow me to store all of the necessary data that would exist in the game. This was things like player units, enemy units, and even future unlockables in the game. Now, this was extremely good for the scalability of the game. Let's take a friendly unit for example. I have cut the entire design process down to these 2 steps. 1, designing the visuals, and 2, filling out a template of what the character is capable of. So this is all of their data like damage, range, shot speed, fire rate, name, cost to purchase, among others. But importantly, it handles the upgrade stats. So I'm able to set a cost for the upgrade, what it upgrades, all through this JSON file, which I would then have a universal data reader, which passes all of the JSON data into content that the game distributes as it needs. From the time of this recording, I have 5 enemy units and 5 friendly units.
Choose your character.
For real though, there are a handful of characters that have been designed, but I don't want to spoil too much for it just yet. So where exactly am I going from here? Well, obviously there's a lot of visual improvements that need to be made inside of the game, and I have some mock-up designs that I would love to start working on in order for the game to be more atmospheric and to fit the overall design during gameplay. But there in the backlog for now is the highest priority item at the moment is ensuring that the game is balanced, fun, and that there is a variety in gameplay. That being said, I plan on holding monthly releases of the game to the people in my Discord group, with the main purpose being to get early feedback on the project and identify the game-breaking bugs that I might oversee during development. But more importantly, to get direct suggestions of things that you guys want to see in the game. And like I said, I don't want to reveal too much with what I've got planned or what I've designed just yet, but the game is starting to take shape and I'm really excited for you guys to be able to see it. Anyway, this game is still really early stages, but it's something that I'm able to focus a lot of time on in the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean my other project, Thorm, is going to stop or it's going to pause or anything. I will still be developing that. But as I've mentioned in those videos, that is a group project with 2 other members who are working full-time, so it's hard to really rush the progress on that. On top of that, the scale of this project is way smaller, a lot more manageable between myself and one other friend who's doing the original soundtrack for this game. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little devlog. If you haven't already or if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to keep up to date with these videos. I'll be trying to pump out as much regular content for this video as possible, seeing as it is kind of off the ground now and I do have a proper vision for it. Now, feel free to also leave a comment down below. Let me know exactly what you want to see in the game as well. Until next time, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.